Da. You're watching the only wrestling podcast that matters. I'm your host, Jean-Paul Leec, and this is Rope Break. Last night we had the go-home show for AEW Revolution, and some people are saying that we saw the best, they're claiming, match of the year already, and we're only, end of February, close to the beginning of March. I would be inclined to agree if it wasn't for two glaring factors, and Juan had the same complaints I did. I know a bunch of people on the internet had the same, thoughts as we did as well, so it wasn't just us. We're not haters, but a lot of people are clamoring because, whether they're just ass kissers to AEW or whatever it is, they were saying that this match was so great. But before I get into all that, like always, I just want to go through and say, if you haven't already, please check out the Monday Night Raw review. I go over a lot of stuff in that show. Everything that happened. Excellent promo by Drew McIntyre. We got it was the first time in Winnipeg for 15 years, and we saw the good but kind of boring, didn't really make sense storyline-wise main event, Randy Orton and Seth Rollins. It was some way to just put those two feuds together. And then, of course, the contract signing for the Women's Elimination Chamber match. And also, if you haven't, please check out the Outbreak Wrestling Symphony of Chaos 2. Check out that video we did. Fantastic independent wrestling. We cover professional wrestling and everything that goes into it, all the major brands, but the independent scene is where it all begins. So we're happy to be, a part of them and bring them into our family, and they take us into a part of their family. So, really excited for that. So check out that video, and we will be back in April and in May for their next shows. And, from there forward, we're going to try to make every show that we can. But we're here right now to talk about AEW Dynamite. Like I said, some people are saying this opening match, the Iron Man match between Kenny and Pac, was the match of the year. Like, forget anything Wrestle Kingdom, forget anything TakeOver. This was it. And like I said, there was a lot of stuff that was good, and a lot of stuff, not a lot. Two things that were real big glaring factors, but let me take you through the whole match. It's long, but I'll get to that at the end. So, like I said, this was the opening match, and AEW, I will always give them that. They always start off with a banger. Their opening match is always something great. It's usually the best part of the show, to be honest. Sometimes the main events are a little hit or miss, so usually the opening match is the best thing. So the two of these guys lock up. Oh, and I guess I should mention, because this is one of the issues, but I'll go into it in more detail. Pac came out by himself, because he's he's the bastard. He's a loner. He don't got nobody. Then Kenny came out with the Elite, but no Hangman. It was just the Young Bucks. And I said to Juan, of course, the Bucks have to be out in this segment, which there were no need for. This is a feud, almost like a blood-hate feud between these two guys. There doesn't need to be the Young Bucks, the Elite. I would have said the same thing if Hangman came out. Like, why is he here? Or, is there, an open bar ringside? Or, why is Hangman here? But anyway, the Young Bucks came out with Kenny, of course. So the two of them lock up, start the match. Kenny gets back into ropes, gives him a clean break. They trade some counters, some shots, this and that. And then eventually we get the offense going. Kenny hits a basement drop kick, but then he eats a super kick. He looks for the one-winged angel early on, but he gets backed into a corner. And then commentary, of course, they had to note that the Bucks were out, but they were like, oh, there's no Hangman. Because why does he need to be out here? There's no reason. See, that's like commentary is just as stupid as, the people who are booking the show. The Elite, but so Omega, he does a flip over the top and he takes down Pac, and then back in the ring, a Kotaro Crusher by Omega, and then some chops, and then 5 minutes have passed at this point. Omega with a rolling fireman's carry, and he misses the second rope moonsault. He recovers, and Pac is launched into the corner. Snapdragon suplex. Pac rolls out to the floor, and Omega follows, and they start brawling on the outside. And then Pac's on the apron. He hits a moonsault, and he's caught in midair, but then he counters Kenny's counter into a DDT. So really cool spot there. And then the two keep fighting. They get back into the ring. And then on the second rope, Omega fights Pac off, headbutting him to the mat. And then Pac runs back up and hits a brainbuster from the top rope. And then Pac back up top. He lands a shotgun dropkick cover for two. And then Pac with a side headlock. Omega is up. He fights out of the headlock with a couple punches. and then some strikes are missed, and then Pac with a slingshot cutter attempt, again for a 2 count, and then 10 minutes down, still 0-0. Fantastic match. I thought this thing was going to go 1-1 towards the very end, and then in the last second, my pick was Pac to win, and I feel he should have been the winner. But, then there's my problem number 2. But like I said, I'll go into full detail then. So the crowd's chanting, "You're a bastard," at Pac, and he beats up Kenny. Omega, he finally gets things rolling. He hits a big boot, and then some more strikes. Tiger Driver 98 for a very, very close near fall. And then Kenny tries for the one-winged angel, but Omega repositions Pac and hits a suplex with a bridge for a very close near fall again. And then Pac is put in the corner. He looks for the V-trigger to the back of the head. One-winged angel. Omega goes to the second rope, and Pac reverses a sunset flip powerbomb. Pac then gets dropped face first on the turnbuckle. Snapdragon suplex, V-trigger, and a cover for 2. So every time he tries to hit like the one-winged angel or something like that, Pac keeps getting out of it. That's the story. It's like he couldn't, Kenny couldn't put him away. And it was like, okay, I feel like Pac is going to get the first fall here. That's how I would have booked this. Kenny can't hit it. But then Pac goes to the floor and he gets a chair. I guess he's getting pissed off that Kenny's getting so much offense, and he smacks Omega in the head, and the referee calls for the bell. So this gives Kenny a 1 fall. And people were losing their minds at this, but in the wrong way, in my opinion. They were like, "Oh, this is so smart. Now Pac, he's beating up Kenny with the chair, and it should make it easier on him." Yeah, but here's the issue. Pac then smacks Omega in the back of the head again, and then the Young Bucks, they check on Omega. They try to give him some water, so time is going on. Like, it's not like he hit him with a chair and then immediately started, working over Kenny and covering him. There's time. The Bucks are checking on him. There's all this and that. They pause the timer as all this goes on. Then eventually, Pac hits a drop kick, climbs to the top, hits a black arrow for the cover. 1, 2, 3. So it's tied at 1-1. So the chair shot leaves it tied at 1-1. You know what 1-1 is, right? 0-0. It could be 7-7. That's still tied. It doesn't matter. So unless he would have hit like the black arrow 1, 2, 3 pin, and then immediately go into the brutalizer and, slap Kenny in the face, get him woken up, so he has to submit and make it 2-1 in Pac's favor, there was no point of the steel chair. It was completely pointless. It was to build sympathy for Kenny, to have the Young Bucks be on, the main focus even more, checking on their best friend, Like I said to Juan, I'm not trying to, shit on them, but here I am anyway. To me, this is like, NWO. This is like Hall and Nash just booking the show, and we gotta be on every segment, we gotta be on everything. It's like the Click. You get from WWE, like Shawn Michaels and all that. No, we gotta be the main focus and screw everyone else. So now we have about 12, 13 minutes left. They go to a commercial break and they do the picture-in-picture. Pac continues to beat up Kenny. He looks for another black arrow. Omega rolls out of the ring. Pac then keeps beating him up and taunts the Young Bucks. They eventually get back in the ring, trade some more blows, and then we go back full screen. Both are in the apron, and Pac hits a nasty Falcon's arrow down to the floor. The crowd chants, "Holy shit." It gets muted. I don't understand why it muted it. Jericho and them say shit and all that all the time. You don't mute Jericho. Obviously, it's a live mic, but hey, he's done it one week, he's done it the next. He did it this week, I'm pretty sure, so... why mute it if you're not, why mute the fans if you're not going to warn him, hey, you can't say that word on TNT anymore? But, anyway. 10 minutes go, Omega finally climbs in, and Pac hits a drop kick and sends a referee to, and the ringside physician. He hits them both down, and then commentary is noting Pac's DQ earlier in the match was the first to ever happen in AEW. And then Pac sets up the table on the outside, and he brings Omega over. The referee's still down. Pac heads to the top rope as we get to the 7-minute mark. So then Pac takes a moment to get his balance. He hits a shooting star press through the table. The crowd, they're going crazy at this point. The referee is back in the ring, and he does a 10 count. Pac gets in the ring at 9. Omega just barely got in before 10. They were saying, he got counted out, but the ref was like, no, he's in, as he had the Young Bucks dollar bills falling out of his pocket. He was like, no, he's in. And then Pac goes for the Black Arrow. Omega gets his knees up. And then V-trigger to Pac's face, lands another one. And he plants Pac for a 2. And then now we have less than 5 minutes. Another V-trigger. One Winged Angel gets reversed into a Poison Rana. Pac lands a Tornado DDT, locks in the Brutalizer. Omega gets to the ropes, and then Pac goes for another Brutalizer, but Omega fights it off. Pac gets a modified version of the Brutalizer in, and Omega rolls him over for a 2 count. But Pac keeps it locked in, and then Omega is trying to hang on as time expires at 1-1. So as soon as he locked in that Brutalizer and there was less than a minute left, I'm like, they're just going to go to OT and Kenny's going to win. At this point, my stomach turned. I'm like, they're just going to give it to the Elite. And Kenny, there's no reason that he should win a singles feud when he's in a tag team role. So, Pac gets in the referee's face after this, and he knocks out the referee. Justin Roberts says the match will continue in sudden death. Omega with a ripcord V-trigger, and then Edwards runs in to ref the match. Omega hits another huge knee for a 2 count, and then he looks for the one Winged Angel. He hits it 1, 2, 3. So as soon as overtime started, Pac just jobbed out. He was like, whatever, just hit your offense on me, I'm done. So the winner, Kenny Omega. Fantastic match if you don't count the fact that the Young Bucks had to be there for literally no reason at all, and the fact that the wrong person won. Because like I said, whoever wins this match, I felt like should be the number 1 contender for Jericho or Moxley after Revolution. So you have Kenny win. So what are we going to see? Kenny and Moxley? Is that the feud you're going to do? But if Hangman screws over Kenny at Revolution, which is what the story seems like it's going to be, why wouldn't he feud with Hangman? Why would he just go to the championship? And if that's not the case, you're not going to do MJF and Cody because Cody's not allowed to challenge. So to me, they kind of booked themselves into a corner. Who's Moxley or Jericho going to defend the belt again? Who's going to be the major feud after Revolution? It should have been the winner of this match, and it should have been Pac, but it wasn't. Again, what do I know? I'm not the booker. I'm not the Young Bucks. I'm not Cody, Tony Khan, Kenny, What do I know? I'm just Jean-Paul Egg, the self-proclaimed greatest booker of all time. But, anyway, it was a great match. I would not give it the accolade of, it's not going to be on the Road Break Awards for the best match of 2020. Let me just say that. It'll be up there. It'll be an honorable mention. But when I mention it, I'll say if it wasn't for the Bucks having to be, have their faces plastered all over TV during this match, and if it wasn't for the fact that the wrong person won, it could have been. So post-match, we get Tony Schiavone. He talks with Pac on stage after his match. Schiavone asks Pac about all the talking he did for him. And, he's like, you talked this big game. You beat up Omega's friends. And you lost. What's up with that? It's like, what do you mean what's up with that, dude? I lost the match. Let's see you get in there and wrestle. I didn't really care for that. But Pac thinks Schiavone's trying to mock him. And then from the back strolls Orange Cassidy. He walks up to Pac and takes his sunglasses off. Pac immediately drops Cassidy and kicks him and storms off. So then backstage, Lexi Nair, she wants to talk with Jericho, but Jake Hager answers the door. And then she asks if she can get a word with Jericho. He just stares at her for a moment and then shuts the door. So then we get Taz. He joins commentary at this point. And, Taz is always fun to hear on commentary, but I was recently watching old ECW. That version of Taz is day and night compared to this new version who's laughing, making jokes, thinks everything's funny, everything's cool. I wonder which is the real version of Taz. So then we get Sammy Guevara, Santana, and Ortiz versus Luchasaurus, Jungle Boy, and Marco Stunt. This match to me was, it wasn't bad, but it was one of those where it was it was just kind of on the show. I would have rather seen more promos, more video packages to hype the show. But instead, we got this, and, it wasn't the worst thing. But to take you through it, the match starts out hot. Jurassic Express, they take the early advantage. The Inner Circle, they start fighting back, getting rid of Luchasaurus. Stunt with a Hurricane Rana on Ortiz and Santana. Guevara flies in. He hits a springboard double stop on the Marco Stunt. And then Santana leaps off Ortiz's back for a moonsault. Santana's still wearing the eye patch. Good. I have in my notes, I'm glad that they at least keep that going. Same thing with Moxley. And then they went to commercial. When we come back, Stunt's getting beat up, no surprise. And then it seems like the chaos has settled down. Now it's the legit tags. It's not like every tag team match always starts off with everybody going crazy on each other. But then Luchasaurus, he gets tagged in and he throws, major punches on everybody. He knocks down Santana, hits a choke slam, standing moonsault on Ortiz, and then Guevara slaps, and then Guevara with a slap to the back of his head. He tries again, and then Jungle Boy and Stunt get involved with some strikes. Triple super kick on Guevara, and then Marco Stunt with a Hurricane Rana on Ortiz. Jungle Boy knocks down Guevara, Luchasaurus with the cover, but Santana breaks it up. Jungle Boy fighting off Santana and Ortiz. And then Ortiz mistakenly hit Santana, but the duo hit double enziguris on him. Then a running shooting star press by Guevara for a cover. Stunt jumps off the top rope to break it up. And then multiple guys end up all over the floor, like you know how these matches go. Always chaos, especially six-man tag. Luchasaurus with a moonsault off the apron, taking them all out. Jungle Boy in the ring. Guevara grabs a loaded sock, and he's going to hit Jungle Boy, but who comes down? Darby Allin. And then, he takes it away from Guevara, and then Jungle Boy hits a snap, Hurricane Rana, and then he goes right into the cover. 1, 2, 3. Winner is the Jurassic Express. So the one thing I like is at least the Jurassic Express wins here, but I don't know. Again, I always go with that weird old school booking where if you lose at the go home show, you're going to win at the pay-per-view. So does that mean Guevara is beating Darby Allin? I don't know. Guevara could use the win, but I feel like Darby Allin hasn't had that big win yet of 2020, so I feel like he's a no-brainer to win the match, but like I said, it was a decent match. None of these guys in here are bad. Even Marco Stunt, I've grown to not like. I mean, I don't hate the guy, but I don't like cringe seeing him on TV like I used to. So this match was fun, but it was, in my opinion, it was a little pointless. Besides that end exchange between Darby Allin and Guevara. So then post match, Guevara he goes after Allin, but he gets back body dropped out of the ring. And Santana are onto Santana and Ortiz. And then Guevara, he has some signs, saying at Revolution, I'm coming for you and you're going to get coffin dropped, because he's still selling the throat injury that he can't talk. So then after that, we get a recap of Cody and MJF's feud. Everything leading up to Revolution. Really good video package here. I wish, like I said, they would have done more of these in the show, but, we got what we got. It wasn't a bad go-home show, but I do like, they'll show this, during the pre-show and, probably like the hour before Revolution when they're hyping everything up, but I would have liked to see more of them on this actual show. So then we get the Best Friends with Orange Cassidy versus the Butcher and the Blade. And, how do you think this one went, folks? The Butcher and the Blade, more like the Jobber and the Jobbist. You know what I mean? These guys are done. The Butcher always looks all right, but the Blade is more intimidating than, 60% of your tag team, division, just his look alone. But he's, the biggest jobber next to Michael Nakazawa and, Shawn Spears. Good job leaving, WWE, Shawn Spears. You went from one jobber to the next jobber. So, anyway. So, Orange Cassidy, he was, one thing I did like, he was selling the jaw injury from when Pac laid him out, so that was kind of cool. So, Taylor gets knocked off the apron as the bell rings, and then the Butcher and the Blade, they start beating up Trent, and then dropkick suplex combo on Trent, and the Blade hits some chops in the corner. Trent fights back with some chops of his own, and then the Blade powerbombs Trent onto the ropes, bouncing him back into the ring, and then Chucky's able to get a tag, and then rising knee strike, and then a soul food half and half suplex combo. Butcher and the Blade take control as we go to commercial break. Never want to show their offense on television, and then Chucky finally finds a window to bring Trent into the match. Tornado DDT on the Blade, sending him to the floor, and then Trent tries to leap out, but he's caught in midair and sent into the barricade. And the Blade does it again, but Trent spears him. And then the Bunny and Cassidy both roll into the ring. Cassidy goes to put his hands in his pockets, and she stops him. She takes his sunglasses. Then she goes to kick him in the balls again. He blocks it, and then he takes her bunny ears and puts them on. Then he puts his hands in his pockets. She goes to punch him. He ducks and then avoids the Blade, and then hits a huge suicide dive on the Butcher as the referee got the Bunny out of the ring. So then after that, the Best Friends with a Storm Zero on the Blade for the victory. Best Friends win. Like, again, is it surprising? No. Do you have to job these guys out every week? Apparently so. I'm sick of talking about it. The Butcher and the Blade, they could have been a great team in NXT. Instead, they thought, let's go to AEW. It's the new thing. It's the hot thing. We're going to actually be protected there. They said tag team division, tag team wrestling is going to thrive. Well, that's only if you're one of 4 teams. Otherwise, thanks for coming. Go back to catering, eat some mashed potatoes, and we'll talk to you when we need a team to lose to the Young Bucks. So post-match, it was announced that Pac versus Orange Cassidy will be at Revolution. Shivani asks the Best Friends then about their rise in the tag team division. And then Chucky says that they're on their way up. But in the regards to Cassidy's match against Pac, he said jokes on Pac because on Saturday, Cassidy's going to try. So then the crowd breaks out into a huge he's going to try. I think it's going to be he's going to cry because to me, if he beats Pac might as well just rip his contract up and leave because I even texted Juan during the first match. I said he's the most disrespected main event talent in all of wrestling, in the entire world. He is so good and he gets literally nothing for it. And if he loses to Orange Cassidy here, I hope Orange Cassidy actually wrestles. They said he's a good lucha libre style wrestler. I hope we see it, but he still needs to lose. I don't care if it's his first match because Jeff Cobb lost in his first match. Wardlow lost in his first match, so boom, and probably Jake Hager's probably going to lose to Dustin. Maybe not, but they don't care about Dustin, so he's probably actually going to lose Dustin. So Jake Hager will win his first match, so hopefully the same thing goes, or not the same thing. Hopefully Orange Cassidy is the loser of his first match. So then we get Yuka Sakazaki versus Big Swole versus Hikaru Shida versus Shana. So a women's match, again, they're like booking it like WWE. We'll just throw all the women in here. And I don't think they said that this was for anything. This was just to get 4 of these women on the show. So take you through this thing. 3 of the women, they get right into each other. Yuka was just kind of looked on. She was cheering for everybody. Again, she's the magical girl gimmick. Jim Ross had to ask what the magical girl was. Excalibur explained it to him that it's with anime and stuff, and it's like, Jim, dude, don't even ask. This is just, the commentary is cringy on Dynamite for different reasons compared to Raw. And then I'm not going to go into it now, but just Raw is too overproduced, and the commentary team on AEW, I feel like they don't talk before the show. They just go in there blind, and the problem is that they don't have anybody speaking in their headset to tell them, to fill them in. They're just kind of like guys sitting around sitting at a bar just shooting the shit. It's like everything that they come out of their mouth is just random, and it's like sometimes that works, and then most times not so much. So when the 3 ended in a stalemate, Yuka joined in, and then the 3 women, they beat down Yuka. Gets a bunch of boos, and then a 3-way test of strength. And Yuka makes her way in. She kicks 2 of them and hits a Hurricane Rana on Shida. Swole with a shoulder tackle into Yuka. And then Shana tosses Swole out of the ring. Everybody tries for a pin. No one can get a 3 count. Shida and Yuka each get sent out of the ring. Swole eats a super kick. And then Shida puts Yuka in the corner, kicks Shana, and suplexes her into Yuka. Shida tries for a suplex. Shana blocks it. Shida smacks her away. Swole hits a drop kick and then plants her into the ring. A headbutt, a kick to the head, slingshot cutter, a cover, but Shana breaks it up. Shida heads to the top rope and hits a drop kick on the Swole. Multiple pin attempts. Again, nobody can get the job done. Shana lifts and drops Yuka for a 2. And then Shana hits a diving stomp onto both Yuka and Shida, and Shana goes after Swole, but Swole hits a rolling elbow strike. Shida with a backbreaker on the Swole, and then Yuka hits a splash on Swole. Shida lifts her and dumps Yuka onto Swole, cover for a 2 count. Shida with a running knee strike on the Swole for a cover, and then 1, 2, 3. So the winner is Hikaru Shida via pinfall, and to me, she was the right winner. If anybody else, I would have said Shana, because Shana has the history with Nyla Rose, and if this was kind of something to build up maybe the next contender, I would like to see Shana. And then because both of their matches were on AEW Dark, I believe, why don't you actually put these matches on television, something we actually want to see. But, hopefully that happens, but we'll see. So then Evil Uno We get a promo from him. It's him and Stu Grayson. I'm going to say Stu Grayson. I don't know why they're going the WWE route. Got rid of his first name, but whatever. They will take on Frankie Kazarian and Scorpio Sky at AEW Revolution. So we're getting more matches announced. And then he tells them that Christopher Daniels will find out that he is now obsolete. And Matt Hardy, he's in. Christopher Daniels, you're out of here. So then we get a Jim Ross sit-down interview with the AEW Tag Team Champions, obviously Kenny Omega and Hangman Page. And obviously their challengers, the Young Bucks. And this should have been the first time we saw them on television, but of course they had to come out for the opening match. And then Ross asked the group if they thought that this match, whatever happened a year ago. Matt said that he's very surprised to see Page and Omega with the championships. Considering that they were almost always singles competitors, and then Matt feels like a veteran tag team like themselves would hold the titles. Omega says that it kind of just happened and it's all situational, that they're the champions, and Page questions Omega, saying it sounds like it was just an accident that they were champions. And then Matt points out Page bringing a drink to the interview. Ross wonders why Page is so uncomfortable. He's like, it seems like you're moving around a lot. Page says, I'm fine, I'm not uncomfortable. And then Matt says that even though they're friends, they're also competitors in the ring. Matt says ultimately that they are the best tag team in the world and they should be taking those titles. And then Matt says that they will shake hands and we're the Elite. Page can't believe the Elite is bigger than the titles, and Page says that and when Page says that, he gets up, starts walking off. Or that Page says he tried to walk out of the Elite months ago. And then Matt says that they made Page a star by bringing him and being the Elite. And then Nick says Page was just a jobber at Ring of Honor and they made him a star. So that I was like, oh shit, now it's getting serious. And Page says that the titles were the biggest achievement of his career and he doesn't appreciate Matt and Nick trying to take them away from him. And Page sees that his drink's empty and he's like, I'm out of here. I thought this was a really good actual interview. It didn't really go too far. But the one thing, and I think Jim Ross just slipped up. I mean, you clearly saw I just slipped up a little bit in the notes there, but earlier he said, when he was talking about the Young Bucks, he's like, you guys, he wanted to say challenging for the tag team champion. He's like, I'm surprised you guys aren't tag team champions yet that you are now. So I think he meant to say like they're challenging for the belts now. But like he literally said in the interview that they are the tag champions now. So I think he just messed up. But I'm like, what, are you giving us a spoiler already for the show? But this was really good, like how Hangman got angry, and I do like how Kenny's trying to keep the peace, but to me the Young Bucks are almost more the heels than Page, because it's like, dude, he doesn't want to hang out with you guys, he wants to do his own thing, and you guys are like, no, you're part of the Elite, and as soon as he's like, no, then he turns into the asshole, just because he doesn't want to be in your little clique, you know what I mean? So like, I think Hangman is out actually the face in this all, and the Bucks are the heels, so maybe the Bucks turn heel, I don't know. I think they're just going to be like, no, the Bucks push them to the moon, the whole Elite. And then Hangman, it's like, hey, man, you can do your own thing in the mid-card. You can float around with, Shawn Spears and these other losers. I hope not, but we'll see what they do. And then Lance Archer, who just signed, he will make his debut next week. So that should be pretty cool, see what they have planned for him. So now we're on to the main event. The AEW World Champion Chris Jericho and Jon Moxley, they're both supposed to weigh in. And I didn't understand this. I would have rather seen a contract signing, not maybe in the main event, but see a contract signing between Chris Statlander and Nyla Rose, something like that. They hyped all these other matches, and then the Women's Championship match, of course it gets forgotten, AEW, but they're supposed to be the new brand, they're not like those other guys. So then we get Tony Schiavone. He announces that Gary Michael Capetta, I'm not sure who he is, a famous ring announcer, I think they said, obviously for a sport I don't watch. He will host the weigh-in. So Moxley comes out first, and then Jericho. And of course Jericho comes down with the Inner Circle. The champion gets in the ring, and Capetta asks Jericho to step up first. Jericho tells Capetta, based on his delivery, it's no wonder WCW went out of business. Oh, well, maybe he was for WCW then. But hey, I wasn't watching wrestling back then, spoiler alert. But Jericho calls him a weird little man and says that the champion always goes last, which I agree. Why he had got to have the champion come out first sometimes in title matches. What's that about? That's usually shit that they do for, when they don't like the champion, and they're like, all right, you're going to lose, and you're going to give the belt to this guy. So then Moxley, he weighs in at 234. Jericho takes his sweet time. He gets on the scale. He taunts the crowd for a little bit. Of course, Jericho being Jericho, one of the reasons that we love AEW. And then he gets in Moxley's face. Moxley headbutts him and then bursting him open. The Inner Circle, obviously, they start jumping down Moxley, beating him down. Dustin Rhodes runs out in full ring attire, which, I mean, hey, everybody was praising how Scorpio Sky was fighting in his clothing. Why was Dustin Rhodes all geared up? I don't think he had a match. And AEW Dark is filmed on well, maybe they film AEW Dark beforehand, like the Dark matches, before the show. So maybe that's why. But he runs down, he clotheslines Hager out of the ring, and then they start fighting into the crowd. They start brawling in the back. Hager, he hits a low blow, sends Dustin into a wall, and then into the Dippin' Dots thing, and the crowd's like, oh, not the Dippin' Dots, or not the crowd, the commentary. The crowd, they burst out Dippin' Dots chant. Then Darby Allin runs to the ring with his skateboard, and he drops Santana. Guevara lands a huge running knee as he gets in the ring and smacks the skateboard over Darby Allin's head. So there we go, it's flipped. So maybe now Darby Allin will get his win. Moxley's still trying to fight back. He drops Ortiz, and then Moxley and Jericho are the only ones standing in the ring. Moxley goes for a paradigm shift, but Santana hits a low blow, and then a Judas effect by Jericho, and then a paradigm shift. He hits on the scales, and then Jericho holds up the title while putting his foot on to the fallen Jon Moxley as the show goes off in the air. So, like I said, it was a decent show. There was a lot of stuff that was really good. The opening match was obviously super legit. The women's match wasn't bad for what it was. I just wish it would have been, I didn't hear it anyway, setting up a number one contender. The promo for the MJF Cody Rhodes match was legit. The video package, I mean. The sit down interview with the tag team match, also legit. They announced some new matches. Orange Cassidy versus Pac is very interesting to see. Orange Cassidy, they say he's going to try, so we actually see him wrestle. And Revolution, I think, will be good. There's a lot of matches on there. I don't know if that means the show's going to be real long or if these matches are going to be shorter than what we're used to for these pay-per-view events for AEW. But I just don't understand why Kenny had to win that match. To me, it makes zero sense. And, Jungle Boy, Jurassic Express versus the Inner Circle. To me, that thing was just set up for the Darby Allin. Hey, they gave us good matches, but see, this is where you see guys like Joey Janela versus Kip Sabian. Like, is their feud over? If it ended on AEW Dark, then what was the point of having it on television? If you're going to end it on a show that's not even on television, why didn't we see any of them? I don't see anybody in the community who's supposed to be so great. I don't see them bringing up these mid-card guys. They just care about the elite because they're trying to get a job. So, to me, you got to look at the whole picture. Why didn't we see anything with Nyla Rose with the champion? Go home show, all the champions were on except her. So that's what I mean. There were some flaws to the show, but overall, AEW really doesn't ever disappoint, like fully, not like a SmackDown Live. But, there are always some things that I feel like if they tweaked a few things, they would easily have the best show. I would even say better than NXT, but it's just the booking, and I'm pretty much just the booking, to be honest. But, again, I'm not going to go into it all. Watch the review from the beginning if you missed anything. I go over it all there, so that's the review, guys. And like I said, if you haven't already, please check out Monday Night Raw. I go over the entire show. And watch the video we have on Outbreak Wrestling, Symphony of Chaos 2. And Juan has some good soccer videos uploaded there as well. And I also have Jean Paul's Wrestling Hall, the February Crate, Legends, Macho Man, Iron Sheik, Kamala, some great stuff in there. Ric Flair DVD, and, some really cool things in there. So please check that out. And, we have a lot of stuff going on today. That's why the review, kind of tried to go through it quick because we got, Super Shit Down, Super Showdown, Super Bore Down, Super Why Am I Even Watching This? That's on. And, obviously we have the NXT review coming up later. And then this weekend we have, Friday Night SmackDown and AEW Revolution. So we have a lot of stuff coming for you guys. And we appreciate all the support. If you haven't followed us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and if you're watching the video and you haven't already, click the little subscribe button, turn on the bell, because we have a lot of uploads. You're not going to want to miss anything. Some good content coming for you all. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you with NXT review.